Well, happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to everyone listening, and happy Wednesday to Arthur and Bram, my weekly co-hosts here in just talking all things leadership. And today I'm really keen to talk to Arthur, who is an entrepreneur in financial services, also a very successful financial planner in his own right, and now runs a dealer group in his spare time. So, Arthur, I'm really keen to talk about coaching for performance around the impact from a leadership perspective, because sometimes we don't have the time to coach, but I want to talk about how we can make that time. And I've also got Bram Legros here, who is a Belgian-born psychologist. So Bram is also an entrepreneur and really focuses on sales, but he's also a qualified coach as well. So he's got some amazing skills and techniques and tips and tricks that will really help you out there as well. And the reason, so thank you guys.
Thanks, Carly. It's good to be here.
So the reason that I wanted to talk about coaching for higher performance today is because I'm running a workshop, a free live workshop next Wednesday at 10 a.m. And I will pop in the registration page in the email. But I wanted to talk about it because it seems to be something that leaders are always wanting to be better at. They're wanting to coach their team as opposed to tell their team. They're wanting to coach their team as opposed to manage their team. And we know through years and years of research that when we coach as opposed to tell, we empower our people, we engage our people, we improve their productivity, we keep them for longer, and they're happier. So we know the importance of coaching for higher performance, but sometimes we don't do it because we don't know how, or we don't have the models. And I did a poll in LinkedIn last week, I think it was, and I said, what stops you from coaching? What stops you from coaching your team? And the first two items that people said was, I don't have the tools or the frameworks or the models to do it. And secondly, I don't have the time.
They need coaching.
They need coaching. I know. Coaching to make the time. I know. Yeah, time management.
Need to be coached. Yeah.
They should come to one of my other webinars on delegation, time management. But look, so really, let's touch on those 2 points. And I'll start with you first, Arthur, because I know that you manage a lot of staff, and I know that you are also a practitioner as well as a leader. So when it comes to not having enough time or not having the right tools or models or frameworks, what are your thoughts on that? And how do you think you could offer some wise words?
Yeah, look, you make the time for your people. You just make the time. Number one, people are everything. You want to have a culture where the leader is seen to be active and actively interested in their people. And make the time. I mean, it's a shame we've only got 15 minutes. I could probably talk on for hours, but I'll try and keep it pretty succinct. You got to be organised, number one, and these meetings with the actual logistic and the structure. You need to be prepared. So the first thing you need to do is understand like a lay of the land in your business, and actually understand where your people are in their development curve. So there's like a little grid assessment tool that you could use where you've got 9 boxes. Yeah, exactly right. So you got your stars, you got your people that need help, and then you got your bottom quartile people. And then the idea is that you either resolve the bottom quartile people and they're on the up or out, and then the intermediate people are okay. Well, where are they going to be? How do we push them into that upper category, the upper echelon? And then how do you really support and reward and recognize your top performers, right? So it's really around your time distribution. You don't want to be spending your time or too much time on the bottom quartile. You want to be firm.
Different conversation, isn't it?
Different conversation, right?
Yeah.
And it's to the point, and it's really up or out, right? Then the ones in the middle are really around the development, getting them to engage, at a higher level, giving them the opportunity to develop, etc., and then just seeing how they go. And then the top quartile, obviously, you're constantly rewarding, giving them access to different things, and rewarding your top performers. You've got to reward the top performers.
Yeah.
So being organised and having that structure, and then having the times actually booked out in your diary. So I've got my quarterly catch-ups with all my direct reports every quarter, where they have a little template that they complete before the meeting.
Yeah.
And if they don't complete it before the meeting doesn't take place. So they've got to buy into themselves actually putting the effort in to actually talk about how they see themselves and how they perform, so you can assess their self-awareness, they can assess their own performance. But the critical thing is that it can't just be top down. It's got to be bottom up as well, where you actually ask them, how am I performing as a leader? Where can I improve? And it becomes more of a 360-degree conversation rather than a top-down conversation, because, you can get kind of, mundane if it's constantly being told what you can do better. But at the same time, if you invite constructive feedback from yourself as a leader, then you're getting more buy-in. So structurally, being prepared with that kind of grittiness assessment, having the regimented sessions booked out in advance, and getting them to complete the task for those conversations. So I'm not even talking about the actual coaching conversation itself. I think that's probably your space, Pram and Kylie, that you can shed some more light on, but just being organized. The other thing as well I'll also raise is just the changing dynamic of the expectations of the workforce today. Like when I joined the workforce, I thought I was going to work for the bank for the next 30 years. Yeah. That's kind of what it was. But people are more transient today. So it's like, when I'm having job interview and conversations where, I'd be scared to talk about the word equity in a business and asking for it in a job interview. But it's getting asked about, in job interview. When can I be more of a formal part of this business? And so, I used to approach these meetings around, I'd be waiting to be asked if I wanted to be RAS. Now it's like much more overt. They want it now and they want it yesterday, right? So it's like, how do you attract and retain talent? Because structurally, your business may not have that capacity for that growth. There might be ceilings. So how do you keep that person engaged? And it's not always around just the job. It's around coaching around other parts of their life that you can engage them on to just be better, better people, better performers, better providers, better contributors to society. That actually gets the most out of people. So how does your workplace contribute to charitable organizations, other activities that is more than just money? People want more out of just the contribution to work. So that's another interesting part of it. How do the leaders attract and retain talent where the wants are much more than what they were before?
For sure. And I was just saying previously was that millennials make up 50% of our workforce now, and they are wanting coaching, developing, training. They want to move up. So if we don't have that in place, then they're going to move out because someone else is going to offer it to them.
Yeah, which comes down to the business strategy, right? So as a leader, you got to kind of keep moving up. So you're moving out of their way. Yeah. But there's, it comes down to the growth of the business. So you got to kind of be always growing if you want to retain your talent, or be willing to offer what they want. Yeah.
Yeah. So growing yourself and growing your staff, isn't it? Leadership is this continuous journey. So a couple of things before I move on to Bram, there was just some real key points that I just want to reiterate because they're powerful and they're really, really important. And the first one was, treat your staff. Look after your staff. And Richard Branson says that so well, where he talks about, treat your staff well so they treat your customers well. Okay, so there's your first point. Spend time, add value, coach, develop, and support them in where they want to be, or understanding that training matrix around where their gaps are and what they need to learn. But another one that you said was the importance of prepping. They have to come to you. Coaching is about their topic. So them coming to you with what it is they want to focus on. That's a must. Okay. And the third point that you mentioned was that you've got them regularly set in stone. This is when the coaching happens. And what perception the employee sees from that is Arthur values me. Okay. So it's in the calendar. Now, look, I understand that things will crop up and sometimes you might have to reschedule. But don't just cancel, reschedule, because when you reschedule, then people go, he still values or she still values me. Okay, so prepping, planning, asking for feedback, treating your staff the right way so they can continue to develop and grow and be their best version of themselves. Thanks, Arthur. I love that. Bram, what about you?
I love the points that you guys shared. And look, I made a few scribbles here. The first one Arthur already touched on, so I'm going to park that aside. The second one was having touched on millennials, Carly.
Yeah.
I think it's important that we just think about generations and how generations have come into the workforce and have been trained and coached along the way. The older generation tends to be one where their conception of leadership is about hard force and power and using the hierarchy. I think we touched on that also last time with Arthur. One thing I've noticed is that when we really start thinking of like, look, this is a person, they're in their 50s and 60s, so they have been on this more hierarchical sort of pathway. They expect the leader to be very more directive and more dominant and guiding that way and structured. The millennials that we just touched on, I believe in my experience that they are way more looking for that soft power, soft leadership. And soft doesn't mean, that they can push you around. But soft means that you really come from a more emotional intelligence space that makes them feel really special. And let's just be honest. We know it from our kids at home. If people want to feel special, listened to, and appreciated, it's about TIME. Love is spelled as TIME. You spend time.
Yeah.
So if you say that right now you don't have time for your people, I'm just saying, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What is so much more important than giving the people that are your people to have to shine and make your business great? If you don't have time for them, what do you spend your time on instead?
Yes.
So there is no excuse not to spend time on them.
Time on recruiting, because the people.
Yeah.
Because they keep coming and going there probably. Yeah.
I love that.
That soft power is super important. Getting that right. You spend time with him. You don't make excuses. And look, if you keep finding an excuse to not do it, what it tells me as a psychologist is that your values just lie elsewhere, that you don't like being a leader of people. And then probably your best recruit would be to find a team leader that can do it for you.
Yes, that has those people skills. And just probably, I love that TIME, okay, because I know that when you don't spend time with your staff don't feel valued, okay? We know it with our children. They're more than happy to say, I haven't seen you very long, or I haven't spent much time with you, or I need a cuddle, okay? They'll ask for it. Your staff won't ask for it. They'll go somewhere else to get it, okay? One of the things, though, I want to make as a final point from my perspective is that coaching is not just a conversation. It is a structured conversation. It follows a framework, okay? It has actions. It has goals. It has consistency, and it has accountability attached to it. Okay. So it's not just let's have a great conversation and then hopefully you'll do the work and then we'll check in again in a month. It is making sure that it is structured, it is consistent, there is accountability, okay, in making sure that the actions that were agreed upon happen. And this is where the opportunity is for anyone listening today is to come back to my workshop that I'm running next week, and a couple of other dates I'm running for them as well. So I'll share that later. Is I'll give you the tools. I'll give you the framework so that you've got that. Okay. But first you must make the time. And I think Arthur and Bram have said that so elegantly compared to what I would have said it as, to show your team how important they are. And, I remember this quote, and it's from Michael Jordan, and he said, a coach is someone that sees beyond your limits and guides you to greatness. As a leader, we should be believing that everyone has a pot of gold and that we can help them dig for it. We've lost Arthur.
Just dropped out, but it's
He's
okay.
gone to a coaching session. So we need to be able to help dig for gold with them, okay? Not tell them what to do, not give them the answers, but be there by their side to help them dig for it. Bram, would you like to close us out?
Oh, God, you've been so eloquent in already saying the main thing. Look, maybe one more thing that I'd like to share is that if a leader really takes time to learn what the person, the staff member values, you can have a very meaningful conversation about their values and how those values can be connected to the business values or business objectives too. And I think that the linkage, unless that really is clearly established in one of those coaching sessions, you basically are giving up on a huge driver for that person to excel. Because if they can't see the connection to them, there's a disconnection happening, and therefore there's a crack in the system that will basically cost you money or goodwill or performance and that sort of stuff. So make sure that you connect personal values with business values, that you have those conversations.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. To be honest, I absolutely love coaching. I love helping people identify what's important to them and then helping them, charter that territory to get there. I just love it. When you coach as a leader, there is nothing more rewarding than seeing my team achieve and feel so proud of themselves for where they've come from. Coaching just, I don't know, it kind of makes me, it's my thing. I love it. I just love it. So I am so glad to talk with you today, Brahm. And I look forward to our session next Wednesday at the same time. And as for everyone that is listening, I will add into the chat bar the link for our session on coaching for higher performance. So that'll talk a little bit about what coaching is, what coaching isn't, the power of coaching. But I'm also going to share with you a model that I provide all coaching leaders to use that is simple yet so effective to use out there as well. So thank you, Brahm, again for your time. And thanks, everyone.
Have a wonderful day ahead. Cheers.
Thanks.